I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182. That's in North Alabama, so you can find us that way, channel 182 on Charter Communications. And Abundant TV, which is worldwide. You can find us on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So make sure you stay tuned. Another way you can listen to us, you won't be able to see the video, but you can listen on the website, HTTPS, and that's icradio.media. Download the apps. You can listen to our awesome music all day long, such as this guy right here, Jack Armstrong. You'll be able to listen to him, and you can also listen to all of our other fantastic music that's out there as well. Another way you can find us is on all the social media sites, and you'll be able to find us on Facebook.com. If it's a social media site, we got it going on. I promise you that. Okay, let's go ahead and talk with a very special guest. His name is Jack Armstrong, and he is with the music group, the Bibletones Quartet. Hey, Jack, how are you doing?
Hey, Don, I'm great. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. I always say this to someone by the name of Jack. When you go on airplanes, make sure you don't wave at him and say, "Hi, Jack."
Probably not a good idea.
I bet you hear that all the time. Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you if you knew this lady. She's very beautiful. She's a singer, and she's just this awesome all around real good friend of mine. Her name is Vonda. Do you know her?
Name rings a bell.
Know her from somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think I ran into her in the kitchen last night.
Did you? Okay, tell Vonda I said hello.
I'll do it. She is my much better half.
Well, that's what I say about my husband. He's the much better half. But welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's been a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and talk about music. Man, you got it going on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are very proud of our latest project. It's called Subject to Change. I've had several people come in on it, said it's just a great mix of songs. You got a little bit of everything. We've got a couple of blasts from the past, some things that's different, some original music on there. Just a good variety. We're a classic Southern gospel quartet. We still dress alike. We're Mississippi's oldest quartet, been singing for 65 years, and we hang on to the heritage of this music, and we like it. And it's our project has a little bit of all of it.
I'm glad of that because, you know, and to me, the best concerts are the ones where they bring everything in. You know, a blast from the past where you get some of the familiar ones and maybe do little sing-alongs and let people like me who can't sing pretend we can. And so, you know, and then you got that going. And then you've also got now are you a writer as well?
I can't. I barely can write my name. But in the group, we do have two writers. In fact, Jamie May, the lead singer, he wrote one called God is Good that's on this project. And our longtime bass singer, Glenn Floyd, has written several songs for the Bibletones throughout the years, through his career with us. And so I have two actually that's in the group. But throughout the history of the group, we figured it up one time, Howard Rutland did, who was with the group for 47 years. We've had over 80 members through our 65-year tenure, and just several of them were songwriters, named like Von Thacker. Paul Craven was the chief of police in Laurel, Mississippi, where I live now, years ago. Howard had told me about Paul several times on the bus back in the 80s, riding down the road. One time he was under contract. He could only write songs for the Bibletones and the Inspirations. So we've been blessed to have songwriters through the years. And from time to time, you know, we just did a 60-year anniversary project. We'll go back and get some of those old Bibletones original songs like I'm Not Ashamed and dust those off and still do some of those on stage from time to time. And it's blessed to have that kind of talent come through your lineup in a 65-year history group such as we have.
Absolutely. Now, what part do you sing?
I sing barely a tone, and I drive the bus, take out the trash, and do whatever else is left. There's just no talent to my end. I do a little bit of all of it.
I'm not believing that because I can hear you. I'm pretty sure I hear you in some group. So you sing with a group and you guys have been going at it for a very, very long time. You know, a lot of groups kind of, you know, every couple of years they'll have new singers. And how do you guys keep it together? How do you work as a team?
Well, you know, it's one thing that's constant in this industry and in life. It's change, and things are going to happen. So throughout our 65 years, you know, Ward and Irene Hurt started this group in 1957. Ward moved from Sand Mountain, Alabama to Lumberton, Mississippi, and he was singing bass at that time with the Sand Mountain Quartet, and Hobie Lister played piano for him. And when he moved to Mississippi, he started the Bibletones. But it's just God has always sent that right person. You know, when somebody had to leave for whatever reason, God always sent somebody to step up and grab the baton. And now it's our turn. And you know, Jamie's our newest member of the quartet right now. He's been with me going on 4.5 years now. So we're somebody always steps up, Donna.
Yeah, and that's something you mentioned, Sand Mountain. You know, I'm living right on top of it.
I know it. That's why I threw that in there.
Geraldine, Alabama. You ever been to Geraldine before?
I've been all up in that area. You know, it's a lot. Also, I'm a car auctioneer, so I know a lot of the car guys from up in Sand Mountain, Boaz, and in that area too that come to some of my car auctions. So I know a good bit of people up that way.
Yeah, you've probably been through. You just didn't know it. You probably blinked your eyes.
Yeah.
When you came through, but right in the heart of it, you know, Vestal Goodman. This is Vestal Goodman country up in here.
That's it, Fife, Alabama.
Yeah, good old Fifi, Alabama, with the U.S.
Oh goodness.
We were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I just wanted to say this: there's something about people from Alabama, Mississippi, and North Carolina. Is there something in the drinking water? Because that's where it's, man, a lot of groups come out of those areas.
It does. It does. We, you know, we call Mississippi some of our blue signs. When you come in, you'll see the birthplace of America's music right here in Mississippi. You know, we've had my cousin Elvis Presley to B.B. King on down, just a little bit of every genre.
Oh, wait. Great. Did you say your cousin Elvis Presley?
Yes.
You related to Elvis?
My grandmother was a Presley.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, I'm a huge Elvis fan.
I am too. You know, I never got to meet him. I was 7 years old when he passed, and he never made a family reunion in the 7 years I was around. So never got to meet him, but I'm a fan, studied, and went and saw the movie a few weeks back. And if there's anything Elvis, I'm going to check it out. When I do a lot of these interviews, Donna, you know, people always ask, who's the one person you wish you would have met or could interview or something? And mine was always Elvis.
Mm-hmm. Well, my granddad met Elvis, but the thing about it, he was a cop in Oxford, Alabama in the 1950s. And he couldn't tell anybody until after he had left. And so he would stop by Oxford going in from Birmingham to Atlanta, or Atlanta to Birmingham. And he would always want to stop at Oxford because it's a small town back then. Nobody was there. And there's only one, it was like a Holiday Inn, and that was it. Mm-hmm. So I asked my granddad about him one time. I said, well, what was he like? And he said, a very polite boy. He said, yes, sir. And I said, well, I heard he was rowdy. And he said, not in the 50s, he wasn't. He said he would say, yes, sir, and no, sir, and that kind of thing, you know, and thank you. He said, thank you a lot. And he said he was just a real nice boy.
You know, I have asked people that have traveled with him, which when I sang in the 80s, I got to be around JD and Ed Hill and of course, you know, the Blackwoods and some others I've gotten to know through the years. I always ask a lot of questions, and everything I've got from the guys that have traveled with him, it was all good.
Yeah.
He loved our music. The only Grammys he ever won was singing gospel music, and to hear them talk about staying up to 2 or 3 in the morning around the piano singing good gospel songs. Elvis loved it, and how, you know, JD got him in, and when he was a boy, because he didn't have the money to come in, he never forgot that, and always loved hearing those stories.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, we still play a lot of his music here, Peace in the Valley, and all those great songs. How Great Thou Art, that's another good one. So let's talk about your music a little bit.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and dig in. Now, did you guys, how did COVID treat you? I've heard all the stories all over. So how were you treated with COVID?
You know, we were like everyone else. We were shut down. Couldn't sing. We were here. I've told this from the stage a lot of times. You know, from the time that I've got the title cut to this new project, Subject to Change, from when I heard it to when we actually recorded it and when I named the project. When you name a project, Donna, it's kind of the icing on the cake. You've done your tracking, you've done your vocals, you've done your mixing and mastering, then you have to call it something. Well, by the time that all of that unfolded, the title had a whole new meaning for me personally. I heard the song back in 2019. Andrew Ishii, who's our producer and former piano player before he went with Daly and Vincent full time, he called me back then and said, we have a young man from your hometown of Morton, Mississippi that's going to come in the studio and record 10 original songs. And he's got one picked out that he wants you and Glenn Floyd, my bass singer, and Danny Jackson, my tenor. We want you guys to come in and make it a quartet song. I said, absolutely, we'd be honored, love to do it. So like we were talking before about how recordings have changed, you go in at different times, and Jared Bartleman was a writer. He was not there that day, but he left word with Andrew. He said, if you guys like this song, I'd love for you to record it, which we did. We love the song. 2019, when we've recorded on his solo project, we were getting ready to go in the studio in 2020 when COVID hit and everything shut down. So when we finally got in the studio and we finally got this project completed to name it, Subject to Change just kept coming to my head. And some groups will just pick a song off of a project and call it that, and that's fine. And I did that to a certain degree. But for me, after going through what we saw in 2020, things are subject to change. I had a date book full of dates I was supposed to be. We never made it. But I tell people, none of this caught God by surprise. He knew what was going on. He's still on the throne. He's still in charge. And things are subject to change. No matter what you think you're going to be doing, God's already in your tomorrow. He knows what's going to happen, and he's still on the throne. Mm-hmm. So even though those things change, the chorus of this song says your address is going to change one day. Where are you going to spend eternity? That is subject to change. And that is one thing that you have control of. I can't do it, Donna. You can't do it for someone. It is a personal choice to accept the free gift of salvation that Jesus Christ died on a cross 2,000 years ago so I could spend eternity with him. And that address is going to change. Mm-hmm. So you better be ready whenever your time is called to make that change.
Well, when all this stuff hit, we all had to make changes. I have asthma, so I was working at a radio station thinking about starting my own, but I thought, I'll just, own my show. So I was able to take it to different radio stations. Never thought about owning a radio station. I was just going, I don't know that I ever want to do that. But because of technology, we were able to make that happen. It all just kind of fell in our lap. And I found, Jack, that when I just take myself out of the equation and just let God handle it, first of all, I wear out a lot of shoe leather. I don't have to buy new shoes all the time. It saves a lot of effort.
There you go.
Do I buy shoes? Yes. Vonda and I need to go on a shoe trip. But anyway.
I don't know if you've seen her closet. We'd have to add on. I'll do those shopping trips together.
My husband would say the same thing. But I found when I just don't worry, and I'm kind of happy-go-lucky, but then I'm kind of a worrier too about some things. But I found that when I just let God handle it and I just get myself out of the equation, it sure is sweeter.
It is. It is. Another thing that struck me during that time, Gerald Crabb sent a song on the radio, and as soon as I heard it, I picked up the phone and called him, and I said, that song sums up what I think is going on in our country right now better than any way I could explain it. Because Donna, I know over there in Sand Mountain, Alabama area, it's just like Morton, Mississippi. When my mama told me, when your daddy gets home, we're going to have us a come to Jesus meeting.
Oh, I've had a lot of them in my lifetime.
A lot of those attention getters. Mm-hmm. And Gerald told me, he said, I was getting ready to go preach a revival, and he had a suitcase on the bed and was packing, and he said, he's like, the Lord just dealing with me. You're going to write that song. You're going to write that song. It was so strong, he had to quit packing and go write the song. Donna, he wrote that song in 15 minutes, and he told me of all the songs he'd written in his career, you know how many they are. He has never written a song in 15 minutes. But it just says, when you're in that corner, when you don't know which way to turn, we've never seen anything like that. We didn't know what was going on. We were just glued to the news to see what weird thing was going to happen next. Who did we turn to for answers? Or you're turning to, you mean the one that we kicked out of school when they told you could not pray? Are you going to call the one that you took his commandments down off your courthouse wall? And it was just, I think, a wake-up call. Mm-hmm. It was a come to Jesus meeting.
And aren't you glad we're on this side of it now?
I know I am.
And there's going to be other things that are going to happen. You might as well get, but I kind of think it helped a lot of us put life more in perspective. Because you trust the government. Don't ever do that. Don't trust the news media. And I know I'm part of media, but I'm talking about the news media. Don't trust them. And sometimes God just kind of gives you this instinct, and a gut feeling is what we call it a lot of times.
Right.
And following that gut feeling sometimes helps.
Oh, it does. Ronald Reagan was one of my favorite presidents. And you know what he used to say? Always be fearful when you hear these words. We're the government and we're here to help.
No, they're not.
That's when he says get scared.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I agree.
I'm glad that the government is not our savior. I mean, I'm really glad of that. And as much as I like you and Vonda and love Vonda, I'm glad you're not my savior too. There's only one.
Me too.
Yeah. Because we're just human beings. We can get it off kilter just a little bit. And you don't want to take advice from me on anything, by the way, Jack. I mean, you really need to, you really need to follow the only one. I know you do. Absolutely. So things are getting back to somewhat of normal, or are they blasting again?
Oh, we're back traveling and singing, doing what we love to do, doing what we're called to do. And we're glad of it.
Mm-hmm. So did you guys ever do any Facebook Lives and stuff like that? I
didn't. A lot of groups did. Bill Bailey was great doing the Hope Sings and helped a lot of people, but I didn't. We just kind of sat at home and hunkered it out.
That's a good, and what really helped us is we were kind of able to synchronize our lives a little bit more, because when you're busy and you're just hitting it and you're going just hours a day, you don't have time to sit back and think about where you're going. We were able to do that.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad of that. And we got to have many more friends, by the way, since all of this happened as well. And I've seen the real heroes, and I think we needed to sit back and see some real heroes.
It's always good to see people step up when needed.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Now you travel all over the country. We
do. Getting ready to go to Silver Dollar City here in a few weeks. We're going up there to be a part of the Southern Gospel Picnic in Branson, and looking forward to do that. Maybe even get on a roller coaster. Who knows?
That's exciting. So let's talk to folks who are thinking about a music career.
Okay.
Thinking about, they want to sing gospel. They really want to get that word out. It's a ministry within itself.
It is. I say this a lot when we sing, and I look at the pastor, whoever church we're in, it's a calling. So that would be number one. If you're not called to do it, or if you think you want to do this for the money, I just got my bus out of the shop today. I had to write a pretty good check for that. I could go on and on and on. You do it for the calling. If that's not there, if you're not led to do it, go do something else. Don't waste your time. But once you're called and you go, God will open doors for you. And I tell that pastor a lot of times, it takes all of us to answer the call to present the word. Silver Dollar City that I just mentioned is a perfect example. Somebody may not walk in that church service, but they may be going to ride a ride, and we'll be at that dockside theater in the middle of the park, but they may stop and listen when they hear a guy sing high like Danny Jackson as a great tenor, or Glenn as a low bass, and sit there and listen to the word presented in song that may not want to go hear a sermon. And there are people that'll go see that sermon and won't come hear us sing. So it takes all of us to answer the call and do what God wants you to do to carry out that great commission and present the gospel.
I think so too. So what are your thoughts about sometimes songs like let's say I Can Only Imagine? Okay, I Can Only Imagine is played on everything. It's, country, rock, whatever.
Right.
What are your thoughts about gospel music being played on other stations other than Christian stations?
Wherever the gospel can be heard, who would argue that point? Even Jesus said, go ye therefore and preach the word. However it gets out. We want the word, we want lives changed, we want hearts to open up to the word of God, and then for them to be saved and spend eternity and go tell others about it, however they hear it. That's God got all that under control.
I totally agree with you 110% about that, because this is what my thoughts are. I had an uncle who was an alcoholic, and there were times that he would, he was in despair, and so he might be at the local bar or whatever. But if he could hear a song, maybe an Elvis song or whatever, sang at the bar there, and it might help him change his life. I'm with you on that. I think wherever it can be played, wherever it can be aired.
And Les Beasley was such a pioneer in our industry and a very, very smart man. He tested to the genius level on an IQ test. You think back in the 60s when he started the gospel singing Jubilee on television. Now there's 872 stations on satellite and internet outlets, but back then there were 3 stations, and to put gospel music on one of those 3 stations early in the mornings, you getting ready to go to church, it reached a lot of people, and that was just another medium that the Lord used to get His word out.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember the day I used to be my parents' remote control.
Yeah.
We had 2 stations. Go turn the antenna.
Go turn the antenna. Hold your left leg in there and spin it.
Yeah, we even had a clothes hanger one time hanging on the side of the, that kind of helps. But technology is a great thing, and it has been a great way to get that word out as well.
I was eating lunch with a music director friend of mine. We're going to sing at his church here in a few weeks, and we were talking. One of my things I do on Monday mornings is kind of recoup from the weekend. You go have business of the quartet, you have to take care of another one. And one thing I did, I had somebody from, I want to say it was Carrollton or somewhere in Ohio, ordered a thumb drive from us. And one of our topics of conversation is, I haven't sung there, but he heard us somewhere. Now, I don't know if it was on Guy Penrod's show on Daystar or Rodney Balkin's Gospel Grade show we were on recently, or just, but technology helps somebody from Mississippi reach somebody in Ohio and want to get our music. And God knows how it happened, but I don't. So technology, you just said, it helps get the word out.
Yeah, I think so too. We have just a couple minutes left in this segment. What would you like to tell the folks before you leave, and how can we find your music?
Sure. If you're interested in booking the Bibletones Quartet, you can do that by contacting Miss Bonnie White at Rivergate Talent Agency in Nashville, Tennessee. Her number is 615-649-8181. Again, it's Bonnie White at Rivergate Talent, 615-649-8181. You can get her there and see about getting us booked. On our website, the best way to get any of our music and any other, our schedule, all of that is the Bibletones.com. The Bibletones.com is our website. Has a lot of information, a lot of events that we're a part of is on that website, as well as our full schedule.
Absolutely. So when are you going to be in Alabama? Right off?
Actually, I know I'm coming, I guess September is going to be the next time I'm over that way. I'm the week after we get back from Silver Dollar City, our next time out, that's whatever that 16th weekend on Friday night. Going to be at Lee's Family Restaurant over in Dora, Alabama. Popular stop for Southern gospel music, get some good food and Southern gospel music. And then I met my buddy Lance Driscoll's church that Sunday morning. They're in Birmingham, and we're actually had a call about somebody booking the Saturday night this week. Don't know if that's been confirmed yet, but working on just filling up that weekend. And that's the next time that I'm over your way that I can think of.
That's going to be it. You guys need to stop by if you can.
Love to.
Stop by in good old Geraldine, Alabama. We'll feed you some bread and milk.
Awesome.
There you go. Jack, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, Don.
Absolutely. I did too. Again, thank you so much. Okay, folks, we're going to have to call it a day. Wanted to mention a couple sponsors before we go, though. Make sure you check out this new one, Lone Tree Ranch. Jack, you'd love this. They raise their own beef. No chemicals, no nothing. And I'm going to tell you something else about their beef. You make some hamburgers, you can leave that beef in the freezer. I'm looking at the freezer right now in my studio. Can you believe that? I got a freezer in the studio. So
comes in handy, I'm sure.
It comes in handy. So when we cook out, you don't have to worry about the beef being rank. You know how you buy it sometimes, you keep it in the freezer a couple of months, it smells bad. Not this one. Great steaks, great roast, great everything. So go ahead and check them out. The telephone number is 256-523-6462. I'll give that to you again, 256-523-6462. Make sure you check out the Cattle Stampede Steakhouse. Also, Jack, you got to go through there. Cattle
Sounds like my kind of place.
Oh, it is. And these folks do some awesome things in the community as well. And you know, when COVID hit, they were out there feeding people free of charge. They were just handing out plates like crazy. They have a very good lunch menu. Begins at 11 o'clock. It ends at 2 o'clock. 5 entrees, less than $5. You can get chicken fingers. You get all kinds of great stuff. You get 2 sides to go with it as well. So go ahead and check that out. Oh, and by the way, it includes the drink. You know,
awesome.
Yeah, so that's real good. And then Twin City Used Car Sales with Bobby Ledbetter at Twin City Used Car Sales. They have a new location in Gadsden, and then the current one always been there for years in Fort Payne, Alabama. So go ahead and check them out. Remember, Bobby Ledbetter out there feeding folks when COVID hit, went to several communities, I think about 10 of them in total. So go ahead and check him out. He's running a great deal on cars. And if you are credit challenged, a lot of folks are due to COVID. If you're a credit challenged, they're going to put you in a vehicle, okay? And it won't be something that's not running either. It's going to be a great vehicle. Wanted to mention this too about Twin City Used Car Sales. A lot of folks can't find vehicles. You know, they can. I don't know where they're getting them. But go ahead and check them out as well. Thank you so much for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, your source for news and entertainment. Find us on channel 182, which is local to North Alabama, and Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. And Jack, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Hey, Donald, thanks for having me.
See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when I heard the voice from heaven say, don't tell me about that mountain, tell that mountain about me. Face your fear, shout my name, proclaim the victory. You've said your prayers, now take a stand, get up off your knees. You've told me about that mountain.